welcome to Christian Yoga with Melissa. It is a beautiful day to praise God with our hearts, with our minds, and with our bodies. Today's class is going to focus on the Israelites camped at the foot of Mount Sinai in the wilderness. So, let's get on our yoga mats and let's get started. As you get ready to practice yoga today, take a moment and prepare your space. Maybe you need to put your hair in a ponytail, take off your glasses. Maybe you have a dog that you need to help her to get into her own space so you can have your mat in order to spend time on it with God. Once you have your doggy or whatever arranged, go ahead and come to an easy seated position in the center of your mat. Today's practice will focus on God's constant provision for us in every detail. The Bible passage we will meditate on is found in Exodus, when the people were camped before Mount Sinai. God was providing for their needs, but the people were impatient, as we can often be impatient. Let's begin to bring our focus to our breath. Take a big inhale in, reaching the crown of your head high, and exhale, letting your shoulders relax down away from your ears. Maybe your knees relax a little closer to the earth. Take another inhale in, let your belly expand as though you are filling a balloon, breathing in a little bit more than you think you can, and then slowly exhaling it out through your nose, pulling the belly button back toward your spine. Just stay here for a few moments, listening to your breath, bringing your awareness to this place, setting your intention for this practice. Maybe that looks like a time of thanksgiving for God's blessing. Maybe you have a need to set before God. Maybe you want to ask God to allow you to see Him at work in your life. Just sit quietly, inhaling and exhaling deeply and slowly as you give this time to God. Inhale your arms out to the side, all the way up to the sky, feeling that length. Hold the breath at the top. Bring your palms together and exhale them down between the eyes. Father, turn our eyes to you during this time. Inhale and exhale the hands in front of the mouth. Father, allow us to quiet our minds and focus on the breath you give us, providing life with every inhale and exhale. Inhale again and exhale the hands in front of the heart. Father, open the eyes of our hearts to see your loving provision for us. Once again, inhale your arms out and up to the sky, feeling your belly and chest expand with God-given breath, and exhale, sweeping your arms back down, filling as much space as possible. Another deep breath in, arms up, and exhale your hands back to your sides. This time, inhale, sweeping your arms up, and exhale, stretching over to the right, lowering your right hand and extending your left hand over to the right. Inhale, both arms up, and exhale, stretching over to the left. Let's do this for several more breaths, just waking our bodies up, focusing on our breath and God's presence above us and all around us. Moving with your breath at your own pace, inhaling up, exhaling to one side, inhaling back up, exhaling them to the other, communing with your Heavenly Father. Maybe imagining waving at Him up in heaven as you go back and forth, side to side. After your next exhale to the left, inhale both arms up, maybe raise your eyes to the heavens, sip in just a little more air, and exhale, lowering your hands to your sides. Let's do some neck rolls, lowering your chin to your chest, and very gently rolling your neck side to side. When you're ready, lift your head to a neutral position, place your hands on your knees, and inhale for cat, arching your back, tipping your chin back, and exhale for cow, rounding your back, chin forward. Again, inhale for cat, really waking up your spine, and exhale for cow, tucking everything in. Do this a couple more times at your own pace, following your breath. Let's meet in table. Stack your shoulders over your hands and your hips over your knees. In table, either take a few more rounds of cat and cow or do some body circles, continuing to focus on your breath and exploring how this feels in your body today. If you are making body circles going to one direction, go ahead and switch your direction. Really exploring all the different places that might feel a little tight in your body, letting them loosen up. Come back into a neutral table and let's lower down into child's pose. Toes together, knees far apart. Rest your forehead on the mat and just take a few moments to connect with God. 3 months after leaving Egypt, the Israelites arrived at Mount Sinai. Here they had a terrifying and awe-inspiring experience with God speaking to them from the top of the mountain, which was covered in fire and smoke. In Exodus 20, verse 18, it reads, "When the people saw the thunder and lightning and heard the trumpet and saw the mountain in smoke, they trembled with fear. They stayed at a distance and said to Moses, 'Speak to us yourself and we will listen. But do not have God speak to us or we will die.' Moses said to the people, 'Do not be afraid. God has come to test you, so that the fear of God will be with you to keep you from sinning.' The people remained at a distance, while Moses approached the thick darkness where God was. So Moses went up the mountain to meet with God, to receive the tablets with the 10 Commandments, and to receive other instructions. And he ordered the people to wait for his return. He left Aaron and Hur with the people to lead in his absence, and he was gone 40 days and 40 nights. As he climbed up the mountain, he disappeared in the smoke. There is no indication that Moses told them how long he would be gone, or even that Moses himself knew how long he would be gone. Somewhere in the 40-day period, the people approached Aaron with a request. In Exodus 32, verse 1, it says, "When the people saw that Moses was so long in coming down from the mountain, they gathered around Aaron and said, 'Come, make us gods who will go before us. As for this fellow Moses who brought us up out of Egypt, we don't know what has happened to him.'" They were tired of waiting. They were beginning to feel that Moses would never return. Maybe they were having trouble trusting in God's goodness and love for them. They were supposed to be traveling through the desert to reach the promised land, but now they were stuck at the bottom of this mountain. How often do we feel stuck in one place, unable to move forward, unable to see growth in our churches, unable to see movement in our personal lives, in our careers? How often do we feel stuck in a dry desert, forgetting that God is all around us, providing for us, arranging all the details of our lives exactly as they should be for His glory and our good? As we continue moving, meditate on the areas of your life where you feel stuck and offer these feelings up to your faithful Father. Come back into table and reach your right leg out behind you, touching your toes down and rocking back and forth to feel a deep stretch in the bottom of your foot, in your calf, and in your toes. Extend your left hand out in front of you to the edge of the mat, adjusting your balance. And on your next inhale, lift your right leg and your left arm, making a long line of energy from the tips of your fingers to the tips of your toes. Exhale, bringing your knee and elbow to touch beneath you, and inhale, stretching out long again. 3 more times. Exhale, pulling your knee in and your elbow. And inhale, stretching out long. Exhale, pulling in. Inhale, stretching out long, really engaging your core. One last time, inhale in and stretch out long. Lower your hands and knees back to table and lean back into child's pose for a moment before doing this on the other side. Back in table, stretch your left leg out to the back, rocking back and forth, stretching out your calf and the bottom of your foot and your toes. Moving your right hand up towards the front of the mat to adjust your balance, and eventually lifting your back leg and your right hand, creating a long line. Exhale, bring the elbow and knee together, and inhale, stretching out long. Exhale again, touching knee to elbow. Inhale long, one long line of energy. Exhale again, and inhale, stretching out long, long, long. Exhale in, and stretch out long one last time before returning to table. Beautiful. Now tuck your toes and raise your sits bones to the sky to come into downward facing dog. Maybe keep your knees slightly bent, maybe pedal your feet and warm up your lower body, being kind to your hamstrings. Moses disappeared into the darkness at the top of Mount Sinai, and the people heard nothing from him for over a month. I can understand why they would be concerned. On the other hand, I recently saw something new in this situation. In Exodus 16, about 2 weeks before the people heard God's voice from the top of the mountain, and Moses left to meet with God, God had begun feeding the people manna every morning. They didn't know what had happened to Moses, but 6 days a week, every week, they walked out of their tents in the morning to find the ground covered with manna. Every day they had a reminder of God's faithful love for them. This same truth applies to each of our lives. We may be worried about the future or even the present, but all around us are signs of God's faithful love for us. On your next exhale, lift your gaze to the front of your mat and walk to a forward fold up by your hands. Inhale, root to rise, and come to mountain pose. Hands overhead, and exhale, hands at heart center. In the Israelites' lives, the daily task of collecting manna probably became a drudgery. Many of them probably went through the motions practically on autopilot. Our lives can be like that if we let them, or we can choose to make each task we complete one of worship. In this next part of our practice, we will bow repeatedly, almost as though collecting manna. What would it be like to fill each repetitive movement with worship for our faithful Father who provides for us, moment by moment? Inhale, arms up, and exhale, diving down to forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, and exhale, forward fold. Inhale, sweeping your arms out to the side and stretching up towards God's throne. And exhale, bringing prayer hands back to heart center. Let's do this once more together. Then we'll repeat the movement on our own to the rhythm of our own breath. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, dive. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, sweep arms overhead. Exhale, heart center. Do this 4 times more on your own. Inhale up and continue.
When you're ready, let's meet in mountain pose. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Plant your hands on the mat and step back into plank, taking a moment to readjust your alignment and inhaling in plank. Exhale, chaturanga, lower with control to the mat. Inhale to cobra. Exhale to table and rest back in child's pose. We'll do this a few more times together. Try to make your motions as smooth as possible. Inhale to plank. Exhale to lower. Inhale, cobra. And exhale through table into child's pose. Again, inhale to plank. Exhale, chaturanga, lowering to the mat. Inhale, cobra. Exhale through table into child's pose. Continue this on your own, at your own pace, following your breath. And as you move, meditate on God's specific provision in your life and respond to your Father's love. Let's meet in child's pose as we prepare for the next section of our practice. From child's pose, tuck your toes and raise your sits bones to the sky for downward facing dog. Inhale, raising your right leg to the sky for three-legged dog. And exhale, drawing your knee to your outside elbow. Inhale, leg up, and draw your knee in to your opposite elbow. Inhale, leg up, and draw your knee into the center of your chest. Hover a moment and bring your foot down between your hands. I need to wiggle my foot a little to get it where I want it. Low lunge, knee down. You can keep your hands on the mat, bring them to your knee, or even raise them overhead for a couple of breaths. After a couple of breaths, lower your hands to frame your front foot and raise your back knee, resetting your feet for warrior two. Windmill your arms up and create one long line of energy from your fingers pointed to the front of the mat to the left hand stretching to the back of the mat. Inhale and raise your front arm for peaceful warrior. Exhale, lower your front elbow to your thigh for extended side angle, raising your back arm overhead close to your ear. Really focus on making one long line of energy from your pinky finger to your pinky toe. Inhale, rising back up to warrior two, and spin to face the long edge of the mat, adjusting your feet. Exhale for a wide-legged forward fold. Let's hang out here for a few breaths. Maybe walking your hands over to your right leg for a couple of breaths. Then walking back to the left side of your leg for a couple more breaths. Then when you're ready, returning to center. Reset your feet for warrior two to the back of the mat. And on an inhale, windmill your arms up and parallel to the mat. On your next inhale, tip it up, peaceful warrior. And exhale, elbows to thigh, extended side angle. Inhale, warrior two, and spin to the long edge of the mat, lowering for a wide-legged forward fold, and walking your hands back to the front of the mat to frame your right foot. Set both feet to point to the front of the mat, and rise to a high lunge, arms at your sides, on your hips, or raised high. Take a moment to breathe here. Then on an exhale, lower your hands to frame your front foot, and step it back to plank. Take a vinyasa of your choice, and let's meet in downward dog to do this on the other side. Hang out here in downward facing dog for a couple of breaths as you prepare to do this series of movements on the left-hand side. When you're ready, inhale your left leg up to the sky and exhale, bringing your left knee to your left elbow. Inhale, leg up, and exhale, left knee to your opposite elbow. Leg up one more time, and exhale, knee to center, bringing foot down between your hands. I need to help my left foot closer to the front of my mat. Lower your back knee and take a moment to set your balance. Perhaps you lift up, bringing your knees to your bent knee or even raising your hands up to the sky. Pause in this low lunge for 2 breaths. Lower your hands, tuck your back toes, set your feet, and inhale to rise, warrior 2. Play with your palms facing up or down, rolling your shoulders back and down. And on your next inhale, tip it up and back for peaceful warrior. Exhale through warrior 2 to extended side angle, with your elbow resting on your thigh, or perhaps lowering your hand down to your ankle or the mat. Your left arm is overhead, close to your ear. Hold here. Inhale, warrior 2, and spin your feet to the long edge of the mat, wide-legged forward fold. This time, plant your left hand on the mat and raise your right hand to the sky for a twist, squeezing the air from your lungs. Inhale both hands back to the mat and exhale, raising your left hand to the sky for a twist on the other side. Back and forward fold. Reset your feet for warrior 2 to the back of the mat. Nice. Inhale and exhale. Inhale, peaceful warrior, and exhale, extended side angle with right elbow on your thigh or lowering your right hand to your ankle or the mat. One long line of energy. From your pinky toes to your pinky fingers. Rise to warrior 2, spin to face the long edge of the mat, and lower to forward fold. Walk your hands to the front of the mat, framing your foot, and align both feet to point to the front for a high lunge. Arms on hips, prayer hands, or overhead. God, thank you that even when we feel stuck in one spot, you are constantly moving to provide for our needs, moment by moment. Lower your hands to frame your front foot and step back to plank, taking a vinyasa of your choice and meeting in child's pose, taking a moment to respond to God's love in your own way. When you're ready, come to sit facing your front of your mat, feet planted in front of you, knees bent. Your hands will be behind your knees in preparation for boat pose. Lean back, engaging your core, creating a V shape with your torso and your legs. Perhaps raise your feet from the mat, balancing on the back of your tailbone. Maybe you can release your hands from your legs and extend them out and forward. Today I'm holding my palms up in a posture of surrender to God and receiving His abundant love. Hold this for 3, 2, 1, and lower your hands and feet. As a counter pose for boat, lie down, keeping your knees bent and your feet parallel, your heels close to your extended fingertips. Raise your hips to the sky for bridge, stretching out your abs, and maybe using your hands to support your back. Hold here for a moment, then lower to the mat and pull your knees into your chest. When you're ready, roll back up to a seated position. Let's hold boat pose again. Hands behind knees, draw your core in and lean back. Raise your feet from the mat, find your balance, and extend your hands in a posture of acceptance and waiting. Hold for 3, 2, 1, and release. Lower your back all the way to the mat for bridge again. Raise your hips, not forgetting to breathe. Maybe this time you choose to join your hands under your back for a bind, rolling your shoulders underneath you a bit. Hold this position for 3, 2, 1, and lower to the mat. Hug in your knees, rolling up to sit, and move into boat pose one more time. Hands behind your knees, lean back, and slowly raise your feet from the ground. Raise your hands to the sky, and hold this position, remembering to breathe, but using your core. Hold for 3, 2, 1, and release, rolling all the way back down on the ground, and raising your hips for bridge one last time. Maybe you bind your hands again, crossing the opposite way from the last time. Hold this stretch for 3, 2, 1, and release. Pulling your knees into your chest and rolling back up to a seated position. This time we're going to take cobbler pose. Bring the soles of your feet to meet in front of you and allow your knees to relax out and down. If you find that your hips are tight and your knees won't lower to the mat, it may help to rest a block or a rolled up blanket or towel under each knee so you can find ease. And over time, your knees may relax more toward the earth. Just be patient and take a moment to breathe. With your heels as close to your torso as possible without straining your knees, place your hands on your knees or shins and gently, with a flat back, lean forward, feeling a juicy stretch in the hamstrings or outer thighs. Stay here for a few breaths, maybe finding over time that your torso will relax closer to the mat in front of you. When you're ready, come back upright, raising the crown of your head to the sky. Keep the soles of your feet together, but extend your feet out a bit more, farther from your seat. In this more extended version of cobbler, roll your head and spine forward, gently aiming the crown of your head toward the heels of your feet, as if your head will touch the ground inside the circle of your legs. This will provide a stretch from the base of your skull all the way down your spine. Hold here for a few breaths. Beautiful. Let's sit upright as we prepare for our next pose. I'm going to offer shoulder stand as an option at this time. If you are not familiar with shoulder stand, please stay in an easy seated position and watch me as I walk us through the pose. Because if you choose to do shoulder stand, you need to protect your neck, and you don't want to be twisting around to see your video screen. If shoulder stand is already in your practice, feel free to join me. Okay, I'm going to start by sitting facing the front of the mat as we did in preparation for boat. Slowly, I will roll back and allow my legs to lift off the mat, focusing on using my core and engaging my legs as well to maintain control as I raise my feet overhead, straightening my knees, pointing my toes, and placing my hands above my hips for support and to help my torso find stillness in this inversion. One option is to lower your feet with control to the mat behind your head. You might choose to bend your knees, allowing them to come to rest on either side of your ears. I will again engage my legs and abs to raise my feet overhead, working toward having my legs straight overhead and my hands placed higher on my back for support. When I'm ready to come out of the pose, I will slowly lower my knees back toward my forehead and roll down to my back with control, resting for a moment or two. Don't rush to sit upright because you may feel lightheaded. If you don't feel comfortable attempting this, you can do legs up the wall instead, or simply stay lying on your back, raising your legs one at a time or together toward the ceiling, perhaps helping your legs relax in this position by holding the backs of your thighs with your hands. Okay, I'm going to come back to sit upright and you can join me in shoulder stand if you wish. With your hands behind your knees, engage your core and roll back, allowing your legs to extend overhead and placing your hands on your lower back for support. Stay here for a few breaths, focusing on straightening your legs and pointing your toes, engaging the muscles in your legs to help you find stillness. This is a great pose to allow gravity to draw the blood from your feet naturally to your torso and head, giving your veins a rest. If you wish, you can play with slowly extending your toes toward the mat behind your head. Then raise them back up to the sky once more. To come out of the pose, slowly lower your knees toward your forehead and control your body as it slowly rolls back down to the mat. Stay here, resting on your back with your knees bent or legs stretched out long. If your legs are lying out straight, go ahead and bend your knees, planting your feet on the mat. Place your right ankle on top of your left knee for reclined pigeon and draw your left knee into your chest, using your forearm to press your right knee away from you. Maybe shift side to side, finding any sticky places and holding there. When you're ready, lower both legs to the mat and switch sides, crossing your left ankle over your right knee, drawing your right knee toward your chest and pressing your left knee away with your forearm. Slowly rock side to side, looking for those sticky places, relaxing and breathing, enjoying your Father's presence in this pose. Lower both feet to the outer edges of your mat with your knees bent. Allow your knees to fall over to the left, relaxing into this stretch of your upper leg and hip joint. Resting here for a moment. When you're ready, go ahead and raise your knees back to center and let them fall over to the right to stretch the left leg and hip. In Exodus 19, God sent word to the Israelite nation through Moses, saying, "You yourselves have seen what I did to Egypt and how I carried you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself. Now if you obey me fully and keep my covenant, then out of all nations you will be my treasured possession. Although the whole earth is mine, you will be for me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation." As believers who have committed our lives to Jesus and surrendered to his grace and lordship in baptism, we are the spiritual descendants of Abraham. These words, this promise, is for us. We are God's treasured possession. Raise your knees back to the center, and let's stretch out long for Shavasana. Take a moment to adjust your body. Maybe pull your ponytail to the side. Maybe roll your shoulders down behind you. Allow your arms to lie down at your side or out in a T shape, whichever is more comfortable for you. Be prepared to lie still with God for a few moments. Take a deep breath in and feel your body sinking into the mat, into the ground below that God is using to hold you up. Feel the heaviness in the back of your feet, the back of your shins, below your sit bone, the heaviness below your shoulders, resting your arms against the earth, feeling your head resting safely and securely on the ground. Just spend this time without any effort, enjoying a moment with God. Feel free to pause this video and stay here resting in God's presence as long as you like. When you are ready to finish, roll to your side and slowly press yourself back up to a seated position. Come to sit on your mat with your hands on your knees. And one more time together, inhale, raising your hands high overhead, letting your palms meet and bringing prayer hands before your eyes. Lord, as we go on our way, let us see your provision. Exhale and inhale your hands to your mouth. Lord, give us the words to tell others of your goodness. Inhale, exhale, hands to heart. Lord, let the peace of your Spirit rest in our hearts as we wait for you. Friends, I pray that this practice has blessed you, and I hope to see you again on your yoga mat soon.